Well, happy East Sinful Sunday. I'm back broadcasting from the National Office YouTube channel, which I'm going to be upgrading, as I said, and we're going to be adding a lot of cool videos coming up. As you know, Brotherhood is probably the most unusual of the left-hand path organizations out there. So the things we're going to talk about are not the usual things you might see out there surfing the net. You might see some similarities, maybe subject matter, but Brotherhood's always going to put our own perspective in everything and filling in the missing pieces, you might as well say, which is a great thing to be able to do. So let's get on with my Sinful Sunday broadcast. I have decided that instead of talking about the black dog this Sunday, which is going to be reserved for another Sunday, I've decided to talk about the use of mirrors in magic. Okay, mirrors in magic, and using mirrors with magic. And I thought this was just a good thing to come up with. Over the weekend, we did have a ritual here just yesterday, and we were sitting around with the covenant, and the discussion came up about mirrors and stuff. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, I was getting ready to do something like that, and I thought this might be a good time for it. Okay, and I also really wanted to talk about Black Easter right now, but I decided not to and forgo covering Black Easter right now. I may talk about Black Easter on a Facebook profile video instead. But this is going to be on mirrors. So the Brotherhood throughout the ages, as soon as human beings could determine that we could see reflections of things, that's probably when first in primitive times, that our usage of reflection came in as a part of the magical arts. Okay. And in reflecting, now you can go back and reflection with scrying is also like I said. Some of the original scrying places you would use back in the day, back in our earlier times as dark pagans and stuff. Maybe not so much the name Satanists like today, but as dark pagans. We used lakes to scry upon. There were so many things that we used for scrying. Scried in the cauldron, like I said in one of my earlier classes that I talked about on video. But, so you can see where the reflection of things is important in this area of magic. And is uses of mirror magic, would that usage really fall under something that's, left-hand path or, a dark art? Absolutely. That's also why I said, well, when YouTube asked me how did I want to stream this, was it suitable for children, for instance? I don't really feel it is. I'm not trying to teach children to do destructive rituals and spells when they're so young and they don't have can't make an informed decision on their own based on their own maturity and spiritual thinking. That the Brotherhood's not about that influencing children and stuff. But we are about, if you're 18 years old, we are about self-empowering, right? And one of the ways the Brotherhood self-empowers people is through knowledge. It's one of our best gifts we give to the world. So let's get back to mirror magic. So yes, mirror magic can be used in a very dark way, a destructive way also, right? And this is one of the reasons why Drew says, yeah, it falls under a dark art or a left-hand path, because you could be using that mirror in a mirror spell or a mirror reflection, what I call a reflection spell, to get the image of someone else in that mirror that say they did something wrong against you, your family, or your coven, right? And you got their reflection in a mirror. Now, this is where it comes into as being pretty dark, right? So you would probably be looking at a mirror that my kitten Isis knocked on the floor. A mirror like this, right? Okay. But you see what I'm doing? I'm showing reflections, right? Right. And I'm catching images. Very powerful magic if you know what you're doing with it, right? And remember, all magic comes from your internal power as a satanic and left hand path magician. Wow. Now, you see what you're saying that, no, I don't want to teach this to children at too young of an age that they can't think for themselves yet, right? So, but this is where there's some real, meat on the bone when it comes to using magic and mirrors together, right? So there's the reflections you can get, right? And now once you get somebody's reflection in this mirror, right, you do not want any other reflection to get in that mirror, period. You cover it immediately. And you damn sure do not want your own reflection having been caught in that mirror to boot. Because then you're going to use that mirror for something very destructive later, right? Like as in a destruction ritual. If you used the imagery of that person, well, guess what the most powerful imagery is? The reflection of them caught in that mirror. That's why Drew says covered immediately. Do not get anybody else around you, your coven, or anybody else, the kitty cat that's right here next to me, reflection in it at all. Only the reflection of the victim. Period. Very important. And it's wrapped in a black cloth. Okay, which is right here. Okay. So you want to make sure that the mirror, when you got that reflection in it, right, you got it not facing anything at all. Face it to the earth. Then it no longer has any reflective energy or magic in it. But you have to know what you're doing. Reflect it back to the earth. And then you set it down and make sure this black cloth is covering it completely, right? Okay. Then you have this. The absence of any light. Very dark magic. Okay. Further on, in that destruction ritual, because we use there's the use of imagery, of course. You would take a little mini sludge hammer or a Thor's hammer, as I would call it, something like that, and you would destroy that mirror. You're breaking that mirror. That's not giving you 9 years of bad luck. That's giving that bad luck back, actually destruction energy back to the person who has created you to respond with a cause and effect in the first place. You're shattering them. There's your biggest process of visualization right then. Their reflection's already in there. You already see them in your mind's eye, and you're destroying it. Do not let any of that mirror pieces out of that cloth. You know it's smashed up, you'll know. Okay. And make sure it stays wrapped the way it is. Then you want to take it out to a freshly dug grave at the graveyard and deposit it there in the earth. Okay. So there's one usage of mirrors when it comes to, why a Satanist might think, mirror magic is powerful. Wow. Like I said, wow 3 times on that one. Okay. Let me go into another area of aspect of mirror magic. And as Satanists, we're all part of satanic philosophy, which teaches individualism. So this would be important to us. In a form of initiation, when we want to, in the Brotherhood especially, if we want to get in contact with our ancestors, then we're using another form of mirror magic, right? And we're sitting in a dark room, dark ritual chamber. No illumination at all, but some candles on each side of the mirror. But not so close to the mirror that the reflection of those candles is dancing around on the mirror. You don't want that. Okay. And you're going to be looking into that mirror at yourself. Okay. This is a way that the Brotherhood has always used in our families as a way, as we were growing up, even as adolescents, where we were looking back at our past selves, right? And our ancestral connection. And some of the things that are in our own DNA. Sometimes you can even actually see your ancestors' faces changing in you. Your face starts changing. That's some powerful mirror magic. But they also say, and this is truth, the brother believes it too, mirrors are also doorways. There you go. Depending on how they're used. Okay. So you can see why the Brotherhood would want to talk a little bit about, mirrors and magic and those kind of things. It's a fascinating subject, actually. Now, I can't talk about mirrors without talking about, of course, the traditional black mirror. Okay. And again, black mirrors are used with mirror magic in the sense that you're scrying into the mirror, right? You're looking into the black mirror also, and almost in the same way you are with the regular reflection mirror, ancestral mirror, right? But you're scrying into a black mirror for the same purposes of divination to connect, right? Or either see a future event, a prophetic event, divinatory event, and or possibly even, seeing yourself in the blackness. Again, to a Satanist, the left-hand path, that would be an important aspect too, because we are children of darkness. And we all start there as a child of darkness. And as a child of darkness, progresses in their learning, in their life processes, and the practical experiences from practicing real satanic magic, their knowledge is going to increase, right? Well, so will their gifts. So will the gifts that they receive. And to start developing those also. So there's a black mirror, right? It's a small version of one. Again, you notice I'm only letting the reflection of the Baphomet on. For a reason. Okay. All right. And this mirror here is used by Raven, our mother of darkness, for the southeastern Hades on a regular basis. And also used by the Coven here, Coven of Dark Arts. Black mirrors are very, very interesting, powerful magic as well. Again, where the use of magic and mirrors comes in, it's a portal, it's a way of opening a door at the threshold, okay, between this world and the next world. And that's also why mirrors would always be, an important item of magic to us. See, most people think, well, you're a satanic witch, has the usual, sword, the cords, the scourge, the broom, the scythe, the poppet, and that's all they use. That's the only magical tools they use. That's not true. There are numerous things that are used in magic. Many of them are right there in your household, in plain sight. Now, remember back in the day when we had to be careful of persecution, and we didn't really want our ancestors didn't really want, to be known as a witch. It's, oh, no, witch. The next thing you know, you're being hung or burned, right? Or dunked or drowned or whatever. Stoned, tortured, pricked, and when it goes the whole 9 yards, right? So many household items, like a mirror, were used as these conduits of energy and magical items. Wow, there you go. Often a Brotherhood family would buy a new mirror, right? And they'd have to do a whole cleansing ritual for the mirror, the whole thing. And then they would have it to where it's covered, the black veil. Again, like I said, no light can get in it, right? And then the family get in a line, just like they're getting a picture took. They get in a line together, and then another family member has to be holding that mirror in front of them and takes the veil off and gets the imagery of the whole family in the mirror, and then they cover it up back up again, right? Okay, and then there's another whole ritual. I won't go into that. But then the mirror becomes a focal point in one of the main areas, either around the hearth somewhere, the heart of the house, the heart of the home, which is home, or something like that, okay? Prominent place. And usually you'll find that mirror is placed above where actually people coming in can't just use it as, oh, I'm going to see that I look beautiful today. Okay? Or because there's actually magic in there. And that magic reflection is the family being together. It's caught in the reflection of that mirror, right? Kind of puts it in that time portal of or time capsule right, of forms. So there's another little history about what Brotherhood families do. We had one growing up, so I know this to be fact. So mirror magic is so fascinating, like I've said. Now another thing Drew likes to do, this is my own, thing that I've developed over the years and stuff using mirror magic. And again, you don't want to catch any of the reflection in the mirror but what you're using it for. So again, like I said, a small mirror, like I showed you earlier, works real good. So this is what I call catching a full moon. Okay. And you catch the full moon in the mirror. Again, covered in darkness real quick. You don't want any other energy in there. But then that mirror's holding what? Some full moon energy magnified that was caught in the reflection of that mirror that you can tap into sometimes. Now that's some even stronger mirror magic when you can learn to tap into those inner connections that are ongoing with the usage of mirrors and magic. There's quite a few, And again, as I say it in Satanism all the time to people, your experiences with mirror magic you're going to find things that are meant for you only. It's not going to be the same as with Drew or another Satanist out there, right? Because it's individual for you. But make sure you keep that precautionary measure that Drew told you. Once you catch the reflection for whatever use that you're going to use that mirror magic for, you make sure nothing, no other reflection at all gets caught in there. Absolutely not. Very important. Can't tell you how important. Okay. The same if you're using, a smaller version of a mirror for a love spell or something. Okay, well, let's see. Satanists believe in lust. Wow, there's somebody I'm attracted to, but I'm interested in maybe getting the connection going with her somehow. And you have that little mirror. Now, I'm not saying you go around every day. You ask the Satanists and carry these mirrors around all the time, but actually, it's fun to do once in a while, right? Okay, but anyway, so you got that mirror, and okay, wow, Miss July just came in the door. I'm at this big party, and Miss July. I don't know her, but she does know people I know. There's possibilities, stranger things have happened, right? And you catch the reflection of that person that you had that lust for, right? You could even say love, whatever. You could use it for love as well. Remember, there's a difference between lust and love. Love's the commitment. Lust is not. but you catch your reflection there. And again, do not let anything else get in that reflection. Right? And you can use it in your love spell, lust ritual, whatever. Also, so again, there's so many magical uses for mirror magic, but they are such a great. One of the things I like the best about them, like I said, is there's such a way to open up the doorways of perception. It brings a clairvoyant, helps you develop your clairvoyancy when you're doing mirror magic also, or scrying magic, right, or black mirror magic. It opens up a clairvoyant vision because what's Drew always saying? What's the Brotherhood always teach? Practice makes perfect. So there's importance in repetition of things. A repetition adds to your experience, right? So even if you're doing a ritual or a rite and you make a simple mistake in it, right? Guess what? Then you're going to go back the next time you do the same ritual, you're not going to make that mistake. So it's all how you perceive it, right? Okay. Mirror magic. Some really good stuff. Real good stuff. I can remember growing up and my grandmother, she had, now she was very high up in things, and she had a mirror too. And again, remember what I was saying earlier, that it was hung above the vision of everybody and stuff? And she told me straight out, David, I don't want everybody, because I said, Granny, why is the mirror so high? I can't even see myself. She said, David, some mirrors are not meant to reflect everything. There's already something in them. And of course I was, 4 or 5 years old. Okay. So that didn't really click right at that second, but of course it has since then. So, especially when you're starting to reach eldership in the Brotherhood like I am, right? Because I'm 69 now. So a lot of the things my elders taught me, boy, they're clicking. That spiritual vibration's going, guys. But that means it's good because of, in remembering a lot of things from coming up, as a Satanist in a generational family, I'm able to now, I'm able to remember a lot of it and be able to share a lot of things with everybody. That I think is important. And if you're going to be on video teaching anything to somebody, real experience, wow, you can really teach with a real experience background. Wow, the mirror and magic. Now I can remember as a young Rosicrucian, for instance, a lot of generational Satanists like myself, we're not just satanic witches, dark druids, and so on and so forth, and Satanists, right? We're also members of many secret societies. So back in my early days, in my background in the Rosicrucians, for instance, one of the first neophyte practices that they had us working on was interesting because, again, Drew already had the background from his own family, right? But was working with a mirror. And yes, it was for the exact thing of connecting with your past lives, which to me means your ancestral line, and what's in your DNA. And when you're doing that and you're really, real serious about it, and make sure there's no distractions whatsoever. The only light should be that illumination off those 2 black candles, and they need to be far enough away from the mirror that they're not reflecting in that mirror. Only thing that should be really able to see is, and not really bright, but between dim and dark, right, where you can still see yourself, is your image in front of that mirror. Now, when I did that back in the day, wow, I saw my face change. I seen so many things. Okay. That's key if you want to know if you're hereditary or generational in the first place, too. Because if you have a knack, or that's what I call a special trait, to connect with your ancestral line today, most likely you our heredity. You have heredity, or you got some kind of generations in your family somewhere, right? Yeah, and that's important, and that adds to these gifts. Then we have to be able to be clairvoyant and do other things like that others don't have. It's good to have those, right? You want to keep developing those. Now, remember what Drew also said, though. It doesn't really hinge on what hinges on your own heart chakra, your real feelings about something, and how strongly you do believe in something, right? Because if you believe, then you are. So that's what comes in first, right? And remember what Drew said earlier. It isn't always that you have to have that heredity line. Now, mirrors can help you see if you do or not. That's for sure. It isn't always that you have to have the heredity line, or generational line. Remember what Drew said. There's not a living human being on this planet today that does not have a pagan ancestor somewhere. So there's another reason generational families, we don't think we're better than everybody else. We adopt a lot. Because you get to a certain knowledge on the pyramid and you understand these things. Okay. So wisdom of the owl again, like Drew said. But mirror magic is so fantastic. And when I was doing those experiments and those psychic exercises with the Rosicrucians, like the mirror magic things that we did, I always got a lot out of it. Like I said, I saw my face change and more than one incarnation. That's something I had already ascertained about myself that I've lived before. But and again, not all Satanists believe in reincarnation, guys, either. Special kind of Satanist, I think, that got to the point where they understand they've been around before. So, but mirror magic is a way that opens the doorways, right? It's used a lot in portal magic, like I said, for the same thing, same reasons, But remember, with mirror magic, why I say it's a strong magic is because you got to be careful with it. You don't want to get your essence, right, or your reflection caught in a mirror that has been used for something negative, for instance. Or it's a doorway that's in a place that's already has very, very bad, say, negative vibes, right? Okay. There's where, of course, protecting yourself as a satanic witch comes in, too. You want to have that knowledge. Because these are doorways and things we enter into when we practice these arts, the dark arts. We do open doorways and portals. You have to be strong enough of a soul, though, when you do open and go, you stepping into that spirit world, then. You really need to know what you're doing. Some can get caught into that world and they never can get out. Just like Drew tells you a lot about generational practices, I can tell you a lot of generational practices that Drew's been involved in or saw personally, where things like I just alluded to actually happen. Again, that person wasn't ready to be using the magic that powerful, like some mirror magic really is. The Brotherhood always asks people, please do not dabble. Take a sincere interest in something, learn how to do a one art, and master one art at a time is a good way to do things too. Very smart. But don't dabble with magic, and unseen powers and energies that are really there. Now, I'll admit, most human beings, most satanic witches or Satanists out there, maybe they don't have the clairvoyant vision. Now, I've developed mine over the many years, so I can actually see things. I can see the spirit world. I can see the spirit world. When we summon demons, I can see them. I can see an energy rise from the demonic seal, and I can see that tangible energy for it. Why? Because I developed that clairvoyant vision. Again, now you couple clairvoyancy with mirror magic. You got another whole card game. And wow. Wow. And then you really will fully understand when Drew tells you it's a doorway. Mirrors can be a doorway. Okay. But anyway, so I'm going to be talking about the neat things you can talk about as a Brotherhood person, member, like I am, an out front person. And I want to talk about some things that are more, interesting to talk about and stuff. Still teach some things, about usages of dark magic, for instance, like I was telling you. And remember something about dark magic as a satanic witch or Satanist that uses, ceremonial or satanic magic, um, understand that you are opening the doorway. Definitely. Okay. So you have to be equipped. And what I mean by equipped as a magician, you have to be knowledgeable enough to know how to shut the doorway. Now, Drew will go a step further and say, be knowledgeable enough to avoid the doorway if you can in those areas of powerful magic, right? Use it the way you learned it for the purposes you used it for, and stay away from the rest. And that's again another way satanic thinking, right? So so it's nice to get involved with the dark arts and stuff like mirror magic, right? But you don't want to go overboard and start thinking, you take things for granted all of a sudden or whatever, right? Okay. So mirror magic, like any other magic, is something you have to respect. Okay. Because things can't come in and out the doorway. Your ancestors can come in and out. You can have your ancestors actually showing you what you actually looked like back then. All kinds of neat things get opened up for you. And again, you don't want your reflection, however, caught in something in another mirror that's used for a malevolent or a destruction reason or purpose. You don't want your reflections caught in there. Okay. I'm pleased to be here again for my Sinful Sunday. This is a thing I do on the side. Now I'm doing it for the national office, new YouTube channel. And it's something I do as a minister of infernal affairs um, with the Brotherhood of Darkness, a generational satanic organization which fosters the Brotherhood of Satan organization. A lot of what we're going to start teaching, and we do teaching to the new generation as well, is a lot of the older generational stuff. And that's something I really want to start being able to talk more about. We've been a secretive organization for so long, that, even being out now in the public limelight about 23, 24 years, as a new Brotherhood generation, Brotherhood of Darkness never wanted to be public. A lot of us still don't want it to be, unless you're in projects like I'm in. So, we want to make sure that we pass on, real information to everybody, but not just, Brotherhood of Satan information, but also some of the more generational information. All right. And only the Brotherhood can do that. There's no joke. Just watch our videos as you go on. I mean, well, I don't have an ulterior motive for being out here. And all that, but I do feel like, the national office being represented and having a media channel, this should be our media channel, so let's start doing things right with the Brotherhood stuff, and one of our purposes is to pass on knowledge and information. That's, to me, one of the most important things that you can do as a satanic leader. It's great to be all about self, but you have to be in infernal service also. A lot of people miss that one. Some of them do it backwards. They're more about the self first, then infernal service maybe second or whatever. Now with Drew, I'm infernal service first. That's about everything else. including myself. And I will always try to, be on that current, where I can be receptive to the demons. And the demons actually guide me a lot. So they actually help me to come up with the things I need to be talking about. So that's a good thing, of course. But my friends, I appreciate you being here for Sinful Sunday. So as a minister of infernal affairs, I'm going to leave you today with a reminder to hail Satan first and then hail yourself. May you live long and prosper. Thank you for your time today.